Hello everyone. It's me, Arden Lee. I am back today with another video. And today's video is another one in this series in which I have asked some of the members of my group, the Repatterning Parlor, to share with me some of the issues they're currently facing so that I can give some talks to hopefully shed a little light on some possible solutions and steps forward that they can take. So today's video is about what to do when you encounter a problem with a work project, when you find an obstacle or a stumbling block that you're not sure how to work around. This question comes from a young woman who works in the sciences, and she has been describing having some problems with her experiments not exactly working out in the way that she had hoped. I don't work in the sciences myself, so I'm not exactly sure exactly how to solve the experiments themselves. But I do know how to problem solve in terms of where to look for advice, especially interpersonally, and how to go about getting the kind of mentorship you need so that those solutions can be more accessible to you. So that's what we're going to talk a little about today, and I have a feeling that that solution is also going to be more helpful to a wider audience as well, for people who work in any field, or who even have creative projects that aren't necessarily related to their jobs necessarily, but are still things that are important to them that they want to find their way towards accomplishments and achievements in their pursuits. So before I get into that topic, if you're not familiar with me and my work, my name is Arden Lee, and I am the creator of the Repatterning Project, which is an 8-week course where we hack our beliefs and we change our mindsets and we examine all of the habits and decisions that we're making on a daily basis, and we bring conscious awareness to all the choices that we're making so that we can set up our lives for more success and happiness and fulfillment. So if you want to know a little bit about what we do and how that works, I can point you to the description box where I have a link to a free PDF guide to the Repatterning Project that you can download. And I also have a link to my free group, the Repatterning Parlor, for people who are interested in joining and learning a little bit more about it, and also supporting one another on their journeys towards self-improvement. So go ahead and check out those links. Like I said, this video series that I'm making right now is in response to some of the issues that the members of my free group, the Repatterning Parlor, have said that they are currently struggling with in their lives. So I'm making these in order to help out the people who belong to that group. So if you also want to get that kind of group support and that kind of mentorship, go ahead and click on that link, and you'll be prompted to it's on Facebook. So you'll be prompted to answer 3 questions before you join. So just make sure you answer those questions for admittance, and then introduce yourself and let me know where you found me. All right. So without further ado, let's talk about how to receive the proper kind of mentorship at work. First of all, if you're struggling with getting the results that you want in any area of your life, career especially, but also, like I said, with your creative projects, or even, with your interpersonal relationships, or, your friendships, or any area of your life that you look at, the first thing that I love to do in order to expand my own personal mindset beyond the problem and start to see where I can potentially find solutions is I try to find a person who is doing the thing that I want to be doing. I try to find someone who has already found a way to achieve the things that I'm struggling with, and I just start to look at them and take in what they're doing so that I start to believe that it's possible for myself. This is the way that I've broken through a ton of limiting beliefs, especially around business, especially around, what I'm going to allow myself to charge, especially around my creativity, around my musical projects. I look at other people who have achieved the things that I am struggling to achieve, and I try to see what they've done. I try to at least get into the mindset that they have. I say, what beliefs did they have that are allowing them to achieve success in this area that I still feel limited by for whatever reason? What is the difference between my mindset and their mindset? What tools did they have access to that I don't yet have access to? And how can I get access to those tools specifically so that I can attack my own problems in the way that they seem to be doing so successfully, right? One of the things that tends to come up in business a lot, for example, especially with a lot of business coaching these days, is where one person might feel really comfortable charging, a really high amount for their services because they're really confident in their value, and someone else might have the belief of saying like, oh gosh, I couldn't charge that much. I just don't think that anyone would buy it. I don't think that my demographic can afford it for whatever reason. But if you were to go and put yourself in a room full of professionals who are doing similar work to the work that you're doing and who are charging more for it, then you would be able to blast through some of those limiting beliefs that it can't be done. And you would see that they're doing it, and you would see that they're successful at it. And you might even be able to ask them questions and say, wow, how did you get to that place? What were you charging when you started out? How long did you wait before you raised your prices? And what was it that really made you feel confident to be able to charge a premium for your services? So whenever I encounter that kind of obstacle or that kind of limitation, I always think of this scene in a movie called The Edge, which is, I guess it's a pretty old movie by now. It's probably like almost close to 2 decades old, and I believe it starred Anthony Hopkins. And I don't remember the other guy, but basically the plot of the movie was that Anthony Hopkins and this other guy get stranded in the woods on a mountain in the snow, and they have to figure out how to survive and get into their way back to society. And as they're going through these adventures, they encounter this bear who's been terrorizing them, this bear who's like, chasing them or hunting them down or whatever. And they decide, if we can kill the bear, then first of all, we'll have food that we'll be able to cook for ourselves. We'll be able to eat something, cook it over a fire. We'll be able to eat the bear, so we'll live longer. And we'll also stop this bear from chasing us and terrorizing us. So, there we go. Killed 2 birds with 1 stone. So what Anthony Hopkins finds is he finds this illustration of a tribe of native indigenous peoples who have learned to a method of hunting a bear that doesn't require any modern tools, no firearms, nothing that the 2 of them do not have access to. And their method for killing this bear is they have a large stick that they whittle at the end into a very sharp point, and when the bear rears up like this and puts his paws up in the air, then they aim the stick at it, so when the bear comes down again, he's going to impale himself on the stick. This is kind of sad to talk about, like nobody really likes to talk about killing a bear, but I guess if I was stuck in the woods and I needed something to eat and a bear was terrorizing me, I probably wouldn't be past that either, because I like my life and I want to survive. So what Anthony Hopkins says in this instance is he says, what one man can do, another can do. So it's this idea, and I repeat that phrase to myself so often now whenever I come up with against a limiting belief or an obstacle in my own work, is I just find someone who's already done the thing that I think for whatever reason is impossible for myself, and I look at the way that they've done it, and I tell myself, what one man can do, another can do. There's nothing separating me and that other person other than, mindset. Resources are big, you guys, because of course we do live in a capitalist society, and we live in a society with all different kinds of privileges. But, if someone has resources that I don't have, all that tells me is, then maybe I can work on acquiring more resources, right? Maybe it'll take me more steps, but maybe I can get there eventually. I can certainly be inspired by what they've done for themselves. So mindset, resources, and there was a third one I was going to say. Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. But essentially, it's this idea that if I look at them, maybe knowledge or tools or skill sets. Maybe that's what I wanted to say. So they have mindset. They have the belief that they're going to be able to do it. They have the resources to do it, and they have the tools and tactics at their disposal, that knowledge, of what's going to work, what's going to be efficient. And knowledge is absolutely something that I can acquire for myself. Resources are something that I'm gonna have to work on acquiring. Mindset is, is the belief in myself, the confidence that I can do it. And knowledge is something that I can then acquire, hopefully maybe from that person in particular. If I'm looking at someone who already knows how to do something, then then I might ask for their advice and their mentorship. And what I also advised this person to do is to, once she found a mentor or someone in her field who was already getting the results that she's looking to get for herself, how do you get that person's attention to be able to, for them to be able to, to give you that knowledge and to help you out and help you see where maybe your blind spots are, so that you can bridge that gap between where the results that you're getting and the results that they're getting which is where that you want to be. So, the tactics that I use for that are something that I learned from one of my coaches, Adam Lyons, who's a really terrific business coach. And what he advises is, he says that if you can't afford the full rate of the mentor that you're seeking, if you can't afford to hire that person as a coach, maybe their hourly rate or whatever it is it's out of your price range. What you want to do is ask them for something like 3 to 5 minutes of their time. It could really be that small. Contact them and say, hey, I can't afford, an hour-long coaching session with you. It's currently out of my price range. But what I'd love to do is I'd love to pay you, a percentage. Essentially, I'd love to pay you for what your full rate would come out to be for 3 minutes of your time. And Adam told a story where he did this with someone who normally charged $100,000 for a session, which for most people probably seems completely just out of reach. And Adam agreed. He was like, no, I can't afford $100,000 for a full hour of coaching for this person. So he contacted him and said, but I really want to be respectful and I really want to pay you the rate that you deserve, so I can afford 3 minutes of your time. Will you allow me to purchase 3 minutes of your time? And the person was so honored and felt so respected by the fact that Adam still wanted to pay him for that full the full rate, but at a prorated amount for that tiny amount of time, just 3 minutes to ask a question, that he said, yeah, absolutely, I will. And they ended up talking on the phone for 25 minutes just because the guy felt so respected that Adam wasn't trying to negotiate or haggle over his rate. So that's my little tip and trick for you right there, is find someone who is already getting the results that you want to be getting in your own particular field, and then approach them. And if you can't afford their help for the full session, the full hour of whatever they would charge for that, ask them if you can have just 3 to 5 minutes of their time at a rate that you can afford to pay for. And in a lot of cases, the person is going to be so honored and feel so respected by the fact that that's how you approach them, that they're going to give you a little bit more help anyway, especially once they get into it. It's kind of like me. I always aim to make a video that's like, 12 minutes long, and half the time I end up making videos that are like 20 minutes long. So this one I'm going to cut off around 13. So anyway, if you found this helpful, come check us out in the Repatterning Parlor. Come join the group. And, go ahead and make a post introducing yourself. And, as I said, I'd love to know where you found us. And yeah, thank you again for watching. I hope this was helpful. I will see you in the next video.